One of the best known hymns that I learned as a child growing up in a Southern church, a hymn that we Baptists loved, was "Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love." The man who wrote this hymn was an English Baptist minister named Fawcett. He wrote it upon receiving a call to leave his church to go to another. He wanted to express his love and affection in saying goodbye to those he loves so dearly. He expresses the fellowship of kindred minds and hearts that's like to that above. He expressed the fact that ultimately, in the age to come, they would all be together again. But what was moving his heart when he wrote the poem was that he was going to lose the physical presence of the people he loved so dearly. Pastoring is not only a calling, I believe, but a developed skill. Now, I believe that schools that put the emphasis on a professionalism and a kind of expertise that has its place, but at times it's not really what the church of people needs. I discovered from a time of 16 years of age when I first preached as a teenager, and then in my early 20s when I began to pastor and work among a small church and then a little bit larger church, that what people need is a pastor who loves them, who invests his life in them. This is what moved Fawcett to write this hymn in the first place. You see, to be human and to minister is to be embodied, to be present, to be with a person. Whether it's in suffering or joy, it's to share life together. In this time of the COVID-19 viral epidemic, pandemic, many things are changing, and I think we need to face the fact that one thing that is different is that we're faced with a big, dangerous, life-changing, life-altering crisis. It's especially affecting our fellowship together as Christians. The second thing that's happened is we've embraced a term, and I don't like it, but it expresses something of what needed to be expressed. We call it social distancing. We say you need to be 6 feet away. I get it. I practice it. But I don't believe that we can practice social distancing and remain close to Christ and one another. We may practice physical distancing, and we should, but that physical distancing needs to be eventually overcome. And for the meanwhile, we need to socially work even harder through every means we have, new and old, at relating to one another as social human beings that we really love and have a bind of love with. The third thing I note about this pandemic is that it's a real crisis and it threatens us. It not only threatens us physically. Some of us, like myself, are in congregations where we've lost members to death from COVID-19, others who are sick because of COVID-19. But the greater danger, perhaps even than the loss of life to the church, is that it threatens our very existence. What will happen to our congregations? Will normal ever be normal again? The Apostle Paul, when he wrote to the Romans, he expressed in the first chapter of his Roman epistle these words in verses 11 and 12. Listen to them as I read them. For Paul says, "For I am longing to see you, so that I may share with you some spiritual gift to strengthen you, or rather so that we may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith, both yours and mine." Paul is expressing that when he meets with the Romans again, he longs to impart to them a gift, to encourage them. We must work hard at this, especially now. And finally, I believe we need to work at bridging the distance that is between us because of these social changes. If we do not learn to build bridges of friendship and love and deep investment in the other, this means calling the widow. This means calling the single person. This means caring for the elderly. This means all kinds of things that we need to think about as pastors, as members, and as churches. May God help us to bless the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love for each other, and may we be blessed by the love of God that unites us together in the one Christ.